The Constitutional Court Judge Chris Jafta has dismissed the Public Protector's leave to appeal the High Court's decision setting aside her findings that President Cyril Ramaphosa misled Parliament regarding his CR17 elections campaign. Delivering the judgment, Justice Jafta said Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane acted outside her jurisdiction in her report. Now, for more on the story, I'm joined in the studio by our senior politics reporter, Ziyanda Ngcobo, who is following that story for us. A very good afternoon, Ziyanda. The Constitutional Court certainly very busy in the past couple of days. If you could give us the crux of the ruling that came out today regarding Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane.
Well, ultimately, Tammy, the Constitutional Court looked back at the arguments that were made last year when the Public Protector and the President squared off in court. Of course, the aim then was to have this particular report set aside. And the Constitutional Court today essentially upholding then the findings of the Pretoria High Court. One, they basically said that the Public Protector had absolutely no authority to actually extend the scope of investigation by then going and venturing into looking into the CR17 bank statements. You would have heard Justice Jafta reading out then the initial complaints that were made by EFF Deputy President Floyd Shivambu and Mmusi Maimane. Remember, the initial investigation that the Public Protector was supposed to look at was whether or not the President willfully misled Parliament when it came to the 500,000 rand donation made by Bosasa. It was then during that investigation that the Public Protector then looked into the CR17 bank statements, but also raised flags about possible money laundering. Now, the claim of money laundering, again today, Justice Jafta said that it was not justified, but also when looking at how then the Public Protector came to even beginning looking at the CR17 bank statements, they're saying that, well, emails were anonymously dropped off at the Public Protector's office. She herself admits that she wasn't able to verify the authenticity of these particular emails, but also then when she did get these emails, she also from a procedural perspective breached the audi partem principle of allowing someone to give their side of the story, so she did not give President Cyril Ramaphosa an opportunity to actually respond to what the contents of those emails. You remember those leaked emails spoke about then the monies moving from Bosasa into an EFG2 account. And today, Jafta saying that even with those bank accounts, there was no benefit to Ramaphosa or his son. Let's listen back to what he said.
Once more, the evidence on record showed that the President did not personally benefit from the donations made to the CR17 campaign. The Public Protector may have not believed it, but she did not reject such evidence. Consequently, the matter must have been decided on the basis of that evidence. But more importantly, both these issues did not form part of any of the complaints submitted to the Public Protector. Therefore, she did not have the authority to investigate matters falling outside the complaints. This is a requirement of Sections 3 and 4 of the Act that empowers the Public Protector to investigate violations of the Code.
The implications then, Ziyanda, of this particular ruling?
Well, in essence, you know, it isn't as far-reaching as initially would have been expected in terms of it's quite clear what the Con Court and what the Pretoria High Court are saying, that you know, in fact, the aspect that would probably have most implication is the one of Amapungane, which will then be looking then at the Executive Members Ethics Act in its current form and whether or not its scope should not obligate members of the executive to actually, you know, declare donations, because that's actually the crux of the argument that Mkhwebane was making, that Ramaphosa had an obligation to declare his donations, and he was saying, actually, I don't. And so now that matter has been referred back to the High Court. In fact, Justice Jafta reading out that, in fact, the High Court erred in not actually hearing that, and that the President will now be paying paying for the cost of that. That one will have an implication insofar as perhaps even maybe seeing the confines of the Political Party Funding Act being tightened in terms of being more detailed and being more specific on whether or not we're now obligating political, internal political party campaigns and not just the actual organization in totality.
So in as much as it may be another loss for the public protector, certainly a win for democracy, certainly a win for the democratic process. Like all of South Africa is getting the opportunity to ventilate its laws and to ventilate its existing structures to make sure that they become fully functional. So this is really but one part of a much larger campaign. Perhaps one would look at it that way too.
Well, I wouldn't call it a campaign, Tammy, per se, but certainly it is somewhat of a victory for democracy. But I think, again, it starts the conversation about whether or not you and I and other citizens of this country should be able to, given an opportunity, to scrutinize who funds politicians, even if it's just a campaign internally. Because by knowing who funded Ramaphosa, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, or whoever it is saying they want to become a president of a party, knowing that this person could potentially be president of the country, that is a conversation that is going on right now. Albeit, we of course know the Constitutional Court says the Public Protector and the Public Protector Act do not give her the scope to do that. But it does beg the question that from a moral and ethical perspective, that if you're going to be running on an anti-corruption ticket and you're going to receive money from Bosasa...
and transparency in that regard will be essential.
Yes, absolutely.
Ziyanda, certainly very important questions for us to continue ventilating as a country. Thank you very much for your report and your reportage this afternoon. That's our Ziyanda Ngcobo.